Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, December 19th, 9 a.m., right here on Jocks. He joins us each and every week. You see him on College Game Day. You see him on Sports Center with SVP. And GMAC, he's brought to us by our friends at Atlas Senior Living.
Yeah, Atlas Senior Living is senior housing community, does an amazing job. Locations all throughout the Southeast. Tons of amazing places. They do a great job of taking care of your loved ones as if it's their own family. And you can go and learn more by going to atlasseniorliving.com to learn more about the communities they serve and what they do, the special programs they offer as well. I want to give a special shout out to the corporate Atlas holiday party last night in Nashville. I know a lot of people are making their way back from to Birmingham and to wherever it is they're going to their various communities all throughout the place. I know some of y'all are hurting today, but we're grateful that you're listening in here on Mac and Cube. So with that, we bring in Stanford Steve, who's probably hurting himself after hanging out with Cubelic last night and had to push his hit back 90 minutes to 9 o'clock Central. What's wrong with you, Steve?
I want to make sure you were on the show because you had to adjust your schedule for your big TV guy today. So,
oh, you're big TV, huge TV guy.
I turned around last night and Cubelic's gone. They gave us like $1,000 chips. We went over and played some blackjack for a little bit, won a couple bucks, and we got home.
That's some BS right there. Nobody told me anything about chips. I would have been there.
That's concerning.
I can't believe that. That's not good.
Sorry, bud.
Not great. Steve, what do you like this week? We got a couple winners on the card. I know you were all over Missouri State last night. So what do we think for tonight's game? Everyone's on the under. I'm kind of leaning over. Am I crazy?
Yeah, I was actually looking at the game plans of what these teams do. They know they got to score some points. How about a little first half over, like 19 and a half? I go back, I look at Alabama, right? And with Alabama, when in this situation, when they've had their backs against the wall, they absolutely needed it. They played their best game at Georgia. It's going to be just as hostile environment, but they had a plan. This is as healthy as they've been all season, or I should say, since mid-October. You get what you get from Cuevas and Jam Miller, and I think those two guys they missed those guys immensely against Georgia because not only were helping on the edge with Cuevas, but he's a dump-off guy. Like, look at what he did against Oklahoma in the first game. What was it, 6 for 80? They got the hurry-up play for a touchdown. And Jim, watching the running backs against Georgia that they had to put out there for pass protection and all that, it was a nightmare. You saw Coach DeBoer get on zero, and he didn't see the field much after that. So I think it's two huge assets coming back, and I still, as bad as pressured as Ty has been, I trust Ty more than John Mateer. Now, the one thing I have to think Oklahoma will do is go quarterback run. And when I was there at Michigan, the way they did it was it's not getting everybody in a box like they did against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. It was spreading everybody out and letting him just create. It was manning up and finding a crease and making some big touchdown runs, which he did. So I expect Oklahoma to go back to quarterback run. I think it gives them the best chance, and it puts the ball in Mateer's hand in a way where he can be creative. I'm with you, Greg. I think there's going to be more points scored because Alabama's familiarity and having success against Oklahoma, they know they've done it. They just didn't win the football game. So going on the road, knowing you got to be dialed in, and having everybody's best effort because this is – and you're off a loss, I think that sense of urgency is real. And Oklahoma's still just – the LSU tape is just – I still am flabbergasted that they won that game. So there's plenty of people nervous here. I was kind of nervous picking Alabama in front of all those Oklahoma people last night. But I did it, and I'm sticking with it. I trust Ty Simpson more than Mateer.
All right, I want to go to a game we mentioned a little bit earlier, Steve. Stanford Steve of College Game Day, Sports Center with SVP, joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Atlas Senior Living. I know the discrepancies in JMU and Oregon, in program, in personnel, but 20 and a half points? This feels like too many. There's still a good football team with solid units and some playmakers. How do you view that amount of points in this game?
I just look at this JMU team where it's these group of five teams have, been more offensive teams, right? Whereas JMU's more of a defensive team. Their defense had a ton of success against the schedule they played, and they don't have a Power Five, a Power Conference win. But I wonder about Oregon. Like they say, all the guys practice the receivers, but I don't think they need them in this game. So when does Dan Lanning take the foot off the gas? Does he even take the foot off the gas? I believe Tulane or JMU, one of them is going to cover. I lean more towards Tulane on the cover, but I do think there's going to be plenty of. I know Oregon has the huge advantage with their defense against JMU's offense. I just still think JMU is going to be playing at the end of the game where Oregon might not be, and I would lean towards the over. I don't know if they're going to cover 21. The first half is absolutely enormous for JMU to hang around. Their quarterback's not a super accurate guy. He does more stuff, with running the football. So that kind of worries me. But if you find a scheme and you could find a couple things where Oregon's being too aggressive and you get a quick hitter and you break one. So I look at JMU as not being as close as Tulane. But I like if I had to pick something in that game, it's the over.
I think they have the recipe to slow it down. I just don't know if they can hold up for 60 minutes. That's my concern. So if I had to play it, I'd take JMU first half and just hope they play it close to the vest. Hope that both teams play it close to the vest, and then in the second half, all bets are off. But I could also see a backdoor situation like you referenced. So it'll be interesting to watch and follow in that game. I don't like the matchup for Tulane at all. I'm trying to figure out where people are starting to get a little confidence in Tulane making it interesting. Like, where's your confidence coming from there?
Just because they played their worst game of the year last time they played them. That's basically it, and you get another chance at seeing a team that totally exposed you. And they have absolutely nothing to lose. And if Retzlaff got better as the year went on, I mean, he's not the most accurate guy. He ran for more yards than he did in his career at BYU. I just think there's a lot on Ole Miss's plate where you're getting 3 touchdowns with a team that already faced another team. That's the only. I'm not super confident in it, but that's the way I look at it. It's going to be a tough deal if both these teams get run out of the buildings. That's all anybody's going to want to talk about it, and it's going to suck because we're going to have quarterfinal games that are going to be awesome, and everybody's going to dwell on how bad the first round was.
I'm going to go. I'll go a little bit different direction for you guys there. You go back and look at Micah Robinson, Jonathan Edwards, Caleb Ransaw, Rashawn Pleasant, who was at Auburn last year. Those first 3 in the NFL. Pleasant at Auburn. That's 4 DBs that were gone from that Tulane defense facing that Ole Miss offense early in the year. And then you brought it up, Steve, not really being able to lean on your passing game early. And Retzlaff got a lot better throughout the course of the season. I think he's different enough there to where they can be a little bit more problematic. I don't think there's really an avenue for them to win the game. But because of the secondary having a little more continuity, new faces not being new anymore, Retzlaff providing a little more balance. You don't think that's enough, Greg, for them to be able to find ways to make this a little bit different than it was the first time around?
No, because I think Ole Miss is a lot better on defense now than they were then. Like they were a shell on defense last time they played. The secondary was a mess. They weren't great against the run because they were protecting their secondary. Like they're a lot better on defense now than they were a year ago, or than they were in week 4 or whenever that was. So I think while Tulane might have improved, I think Ole Miss has also improved on that side of the ball. So I think they're going to be just fine. I think the only way Tulane makes this game interesting is if for whatever reason Ole Miss turns it over. And Tulane's an elite turnover team. When it comes to turnover margin and turnovers created, that's their best attribute potentially. So if they can somehow turn them over, sure. Yeah, I can see it going the distance. But if Ole Miss keeps a clean sheet, I think it's game, set, match. Quick. So what do you make of Miami and A&M? Because I think it's the most intriguing game. I can absolutely see a pathway for both sides to win. I don't know if I really trust either quarterback, but I do trust Carson Beck a little more. I think I love both defenses. Like, how do you kind of size this one up with the Aggies laying 3.5?
Yeah, I think it's plenty is going to be on the quarterback, and I wonder how much they're actually going to ask of them. Like I've looked at the idea of Marcel making guys miss, right? He's going to have free runners. He loves that style of play. So I feel like A&M is going to be comfortable in their plan. The question with Miami, and the recipe is there. It was in the last game for A&M. Texas was so patient with the run game. They took their hits early on. It was not a pretty first half. And then what happens in the second half? They catch them, overly aggressive in a couple creases, and they hit them. Does Miami stay that patient? That's the biggest question for me, because you're going to have those young guys on the outside and the edge saying, I'm open. All right, well, the plan is to run the ball. How does that decipher things? And if that crowd's involved, how does that amplify things? That's where I think Miami if Miami could score first, I think that's an enormous win for them moving forward in this game and trying to get a win. I still lean towards A&M. I trust Elko way more than I trust Mario. I like the idea, just like Alabama, of A&M. The last time we saw them, they were pretty humbled, and they got to be pretty ticked off at how they looked and dropping down the rankings. You're at home, and the biggest thing, guys, is being at Notre Dame last year and being at Columbus this year, and then this year tonight we're going to be in Norman, and we'll be in College Station tomorrow. I don't know if the impact of a home game is being talked about enough. I mean, these are two really, really good teams at home. And that's where I go back is we're traveling all over the country this year, and the teams are trying to make the playoffs. It's like, if we had a choice, we'd rather take the home playoff game than have the bye. And I really think it's a significant deal. But on the flip side, I do think the visiting teams have what it takes to win. Miami has plenty of talent. They have an offensive line they've relied on. Now you just got to go do it. And I trust Elko in that defense more than I trust Beck, so that's why I lean A&M.
If I told you that game was coming down to the two quarterbacks and they were going to decide the game, which one would you have more confidence in?
Probably Beck, but just because he's not really taking the risk. Like, I don't even think he averages 7 yards an attempt. Now they've changed their ways. It's just, hey, let's get the ball to our playmakers. I mean, Tony's the best freshman in the country, and they've done a good job of getting him, but it's more of a catch and create plays and running the ball with quick screens, mesh, shallow crosses, that whole thing. I don't love it. The problem is I absolutely love A&M's receivers. I just don't trust Reed getting them the ball all the time. They're the biggest difference makers in the game to me.
There's no denying that. I mean, they can break the game open with one play. Which D-line do you think is better? Because I go back and forth. I don't think there's a right answer here. I'm just curious. Your thoughts?
No. Well, the reason I like A&M more is because of the creativeness that Elko does. Like, the way I love how they practice, where it looks like every single guy is coming, and you never know. He catches the quarterback all the time. And watching the Louisville game back from Miami, Greg, I thought that was a genius game plan, because they sort of did that too defensively, where they tried to mess with Carson Beck's eyes. And what I loved about Louisville's game plan, most importantly, it was quick game. Like, they got rid of the football. They didn't let that defensive line get to the quarterback. And I just thought it was an awesome Brom typical game plan. I'm curious to see if A&M adopts much of that at all. But I would lean towards A&M because they're at home, and I have Elko dialing up the defense.
I would say A&M's better across the board, Greg.
Because I think I don't know.
I think we're in the minority.
I think I lean slightly towards Miami.
Yeah.
And see, and I don't think y'all are wrong, but I think it's a close call, and partly because I think Miami has. I think A&M's defensive tackles, Onyedum 11 is amazing. I love that guy. I think 17 is good. Regis. I think 5 is good and will be great. But I just think there's a little more stability. I think the defensive line for Miami is a little more sound. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of versatility that you see with Miami's defensive line. I'm talking specifically the personnel. I'm not talking scheme as much. I'm talking
I hear you.
specifically the personnel.
I also like if Miami's getting pressure with 4 and like doing things with minimal guys, knowing how they are not as exotic and dialing stuff up, then A&M's in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Cole, you know that. I said last night too. The same deal for Alabama. If Alabama, I expect them to help, get help on the edges against Oklahoma with Mason and 44 back, or probably being on the field at the same time. But if Alabama's getting relentless pressure up the middle, then they're in trouble. Like there's nothing you can do. It's the quarterback's worst feeling is if he's got to try and see things with guys at his feet. So that's the thing I'll be looking for early is if Oklahoma's getting interior pressure with minimal guys and not doing crazy things.
Greg, do you think this is the fastest secondary collectively A&M's played?
They can rip.
Maybe not even like straight line speed. I'm talking like game speed, like just the way they attack the football and react to things.
Yeah, they swarm. I mean, they're very good. Like Poyser and them, like they really run.
That's why I think what Steve just said is super critical, because I think it might be. I don't think they face another secondary that runs like this one, and then if they're getting home with 4, it might be Steve more where if they're slowing down the run game with a lighter box, then A&M is really in trouble.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
what great defense, in your opinion? Like, what great defense? I think Auburn's defense is excellent, and gave A&M all sorts of fits. Yeah. But is that the best defense A&M's seen this year? I mean, they like Notre Dame early, they weren't what they became. They poured it on LSU, but that was a bit of a weird one for LSU.
And I mean, everybody's picking apart their schedules, Greg. Both teams, when they've played formidable offenses, those offenses have had success. I mean, SMU went up and down. Notre Dame went, when they finally figured it out against Miami in the second half, and Notre Dame basically did what they want. Turnovers hurt them against A&M. But these defenses, when pressed against it, they've been exposed. So I look at how much the offenses of these teams go about exploiting that.
That's why I think it's got to be the run game. You look at, 207 against Auburn, 224 against LSU. I'll even throw in 243 against Missouri, which collectively that defense might not be as good, but the front 7, not too far off of those defenses. And, having that kind of success on the ground, 157 against Texas, they got to run the football. I think that's got to happen. And if they can't do it against 5 or 6 in the box, it's going to be a long day for A&M.
Agreed.
They're going to have to run the ball. A&M has to run the ball. And some of those include, and those jet sweeps, like catch and runs, like extended handoffs, like little short flat routes, which are basically triple option. Like they have to be able to run the ball. And I include short completions in that area, like short completions around the line of scrimmage. So I think that is imperative. And I also think Marcel Reed's legs in this game are enormous. Like he's got to be opportunistic when he takes off. Like he has got to scramble in this game. He's got to get vertical. He's got to get north and south. And he's got to be decisive when he runs too, and have great ball security when he runs. Because I think Miami does a great job tracking and swatting the ball out too. They're just so strong along the defensive line.
Yeah, and Scott back too is big.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right, Steve. Great stuff, man. Always appreciate you. Always fun. Is anything we didn't get to that you're feeling strong about this weekend?
Not really. I just I've gone all week, guys. I keep in these 2 games. The first 2 we're getting, the quarterback that plays. I mean, every team, if they get a bump in quarterback play, they're going to win. I just don't know which of the 4 is going to ball out. We've all seen them be capable, but now this is it, man. Like it's do or die. What do you get, and what's your effort, and what do the guys around them do? How's the protection for Carson Beck on the road? How's the protection for Ty Simpson on the road? Is Mateer seeing things? Is Alabama confusing them? And the other thing too that I can't wait to see in both these games, and it burned A&M against Texas and Miami. Greg, to your point, tackling in space. Like it's just I feel like these games, the crowds are going crazy, and you get guys that just put guys on the ground. it's a beautiful thing to see, and I think it's very intimidating when an offense sees when one of their guys open field, boom, all right, he's down. We thought we were going to get 12. It was a 2-yard game. Let's line up and play again. So that's one in these atmospheres that I can't wait to see it.
Appreciate you,
It's gonna
Steve.
be awesome.
See you over there tonight.
All right, Greg, I'll see you late night. Stay open for one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
With an 11A kick, yeah, I'll see you at 2A. Perfect.
Okay.
I'll keep the bar open for you, big guy.
All right, you guys are the best. I'll see you guys.
Thanks, Steve. All right, Stanford Steve joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Atlas Senior Living. We got more picks to make. Haven't officially picked a lot of the games coming up this weekend. We will do that and continue to roll through our thoughts on these games next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I'm live in Norman, Oklahoma at the NCED Conference Center and Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan says they stay here every time they come to Norman. You say you've never stayed here.
I've never stayed there.
So, first off, it's actually nice. They've updated the rooms, the furniture, the bathrooms have been redone. Nice place, big place. According to the website, it's the largest non-casino hotel in Oklahoma. So they got that going for them.
Ah,
But apparently it is like the Postal Service training site, which, I don't really know what that means per se. But like every door has like a big brass square, like postage stamp logo on it of the room, door of the rooms.
really?
That's kind of cool.
Don't have internet, no internet in my room.
Love that. Perfect.
The ceilings are about 8.5 feet high. It's that old school square
So you can't-
office
so if
building where it's like the courtyard in the middle, like my room looks into the courtyard. Like
Yeah.
every building in the 1970s and 80s was made like, I feel.
Oh yeah.
Just an interesting place.
Yeah, you were there to
Very.
work, not to lounge around. So yeah, those rooms are efficient.
Confirm. I think there's a lot to like about a setup like that. No internet. The only concern is that at 8.5 feet on the ceiling, you can't dunk if there was a rim on the
jumping jacks.
ceiling.
No jump. Not doing up downs today.
No burpees.
So you can't
No
jump rope in
burpees
your
today.
room.
Can't jump rope.
And no burpees.
Yep. Good thing I
Dang,
didn't bring
how are
the
you gonna
Nerf
get
goal.
a good workout?
I'm not. I'm just not. It's not gonna happen. So yeah. Anywho, weird place, but an interesting place, cool place as well. So, all right, we got games to get to, a lot to talk about. Before we do that, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Service has been serving our family for a long time. They've taken great care of us. Wes and the guys do an amazing job. I'm always very grateful to the experience I have. They're professional. They get in and they get the job done. You want to make sure now, as things are starting to get a little cooler, that your heating system is up to the task and running properly. So get a checkup by the experts at Polar Bear Services. They are your independent trained dealer. They do system tune-ups, duct cleaning, repair, new installation. You can call them for any of your home comfort needs. They can also help you with all types of electrical work, plumbing, and whole home generators, so you're not in a bind when the power goes out. They're serving all over the great state of Alabama. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
All right, we're rolling back into college football coming up this weekend. This Alabama-Oklahoma game, Greg, we haven't given our final prediction on it, even though I saw yours on Get Up while I was doing the show earlier. 23-21, Oklahoma got that win in Tuscaloosa. 3 turnovers from Alabama, but they outgained Oklahoma by 194 yards. Some of that may have been field position where Oklahoma didn't have near as many long fields. 116.7 rush yards per game. That is on pace for Alabama to be its fewest since 1998. Ryan Williams, by the way, we talked about it might be big if he shows up. He's been held to under 50 receiving yards in 5 consecutive games. Alabama had one player rush for 100 yards in a game. That was this season. Jam Miller, 136 versus
Against
Vanderbilt.
Vandy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's tied with Texas for fewest in the SEC, by the way. I would have thought Wisner maybe went over 100 more than once, but not a ton of times. I mean, I could see it. They struggled early on for sure.
I think he went over twice. The second being A&M.
Well, it says here in our stats and info packet that those two are tied with just one each. One 100-yard rushing game. Texas and Alabama tied for fewest in SEC. So don't know if Weiser went over that or not, but it says that he didn't. Now, Oklahoma's run game, 107th in yards per game this season. So how important is that part of this? How important is the run game? Do one of these two teams have to get it going? Is it more just being a little bit stubborn with it, attempting it to set other things up and keep the defense on their heels, so to speak? What has to happen from a rush perspective for both of these teams in your mind if they're going to get the win?
You know, I think the most important thing, it's really going to start with protection for Alabama. They have to protect. But the way that you can help the protection is by at least making Oklahoma think about stopping the run. Like, get them to just cool their jets just a hair. I don't care if they average 3 yards a carry. Like, just get them to just slow down a hair. Get them to think twice before they pin their ears back and go. I mean, and answer me this, Cole, like, I'm sure you played in games where you couldn't run the ball very effectively. I'm sure there was a game or two. I know it's shocking because of how you're such a mauler, but I'm sure there was a game or two where you guys weren't getting a lot of push. But even if you're getting 2 yards a carry, how much does that slow down the opposing defensive line from just going?
It's huge. It's massive. I mean, I think the threat, that's why I think just the threat of attempting it, it forces those guys to anchor a little bit more. And when they're anchoring, they're not moving. And when they're anchoring, they're not penetrating. So if I can force you to just kind of sit there and want to hold your ground on a consistent basis, that's going to open up a ton for me. And that's going to do a lot for where I want to be and how I want to operate. So, yeah, I think that part of it is huge when you're talking about exactly just attempting to run the football, being stubborn with running the football. There's a ton of value in that. And it's one of the reasons I think these teams, I think they both have to do it. Now, I think the advantage for Alabama is the variety in which they can attempt to run the football is much greater than Oklahoma. Like Alabama, I mean, you've got some of your jet sweeps into rounds. You got different players you can put in the backfield. You've got your zone scheme that you can run in between the tackles. You got some pin and pull stuff you can do on the perimeter. You have a little bit of quarterback run. Like, there's not near that much variety for Oklahoma to try to turn to, Greg. And that's where I think it could be a little bit problematic depending on how Kane plays this. Because I think he understands, all right, y'all probably going to go +1, quarterback run a little bit. We know how we can attempt to try and take that away. We'll let the rest of our defense sit back. You can have the underneath stuff. And as you stated earlier, how confident is Oklahoma even in 12, 15, 17 play drives to try to go down and score? Field goals or not. You know, I don't know how confident I am based on some of the inconsistencies they've shown that they can live in that neighborhood for 4 quarters in this game.
Yeah, and I think that the one area that's going to be real interesting in this game is with the run game, can you get that second level defender to bite just a hair? And when this offense was going really good, a lot of Ty's action was over the middle of the field. And they haven't been as good there the last couple weeks. They need to continue to attack between the hashes. Ty's one of the best in college football in the first 8 weeks of the season of attacking between the hashes. I think he was, at one point, he led the country in passer rating on throws between the hashes, the intermediates. And when you're a heavy blitz team, when you're a team that wants to pressure, and you're a team that wants to void zones, you got to make him pay there. And he's going to anticipate throws. Ball's got to be out before guys get out of their breaks. It's an uncomfortable spot to be in because you're throwing it over the middle where there's traffic, and yet you're throwing it before guys get out of their break. That's a tough spot to live, a really tough spot to live, but it's got to be done in this game. Because if you can hit a couple of those voids, it'll talk them out of it. And maybe they cool their jets a bit with the pressures. And that can help you too. I think RPOs in this game can be helpful. Give you a late look, and RPO might be something as small as, hey, put Caleb Edwards in the flat. I'll fake it inside. If that defensive end hesitates for a half second, we jump leverage, boom, we hit him. You know what I mean? I think that's big. Just to get them thinking, moving side to side. I think perimeter stuff can be helpful in this game. I think the receivers need to do a great job blocking in this game. That has not been a huge strength of theirs this year. But I think blocking in this game is going to be big. I think run after catch in this game is going to be big. Making guys miss in this game is going to be big. Cheap yardage is huge in a game like this. So if you can get a guy to miss a tackle, whiff, what have you, it's enormous. Absolutely enormous. So it's going to be every yard will be earned tonight. But in the rare event in which they give you a freebie, you got to hit it. You got to hit it, and you got to take advantage. And I think too, man, there's some value to just locking them up, max protect, double move, let's send one. You know what I mean? Like at some point, 2-3 times a game, there's just been a slight hesitance to just pushing it downfield. Like, give me a double move. Give me Ryan Williams on a sluggo. Give me Ryan Williams on a stutter go. Lock them up, block them up, and let's throw a shot. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be something that has to be had in this game too, just to talk them out of it. Just to talk them out of that tight coverage and just see if you, hey, underthrow them. We could get a PI. It doesn't matter. Like just get them to think twice about everything they're doing. Do not let them dictate the terms of engagement. That's big. And I think Alabama can do that. I think they will do that. If you look at Auburn's plan, Auburn had a really good plan against Oklahoma. They just don't have a quarterback that could hit the broadside of a barn in that game. Had a couple big misses, and it was all she wrote. Ty's not missing that throw. Not if a guy's wide open behind the defense. So I think there's a lot that can be learned. An extra week of prep against this defense is enormous. I cannot overemphasize that, and I think they'll have a good plan. I think they'll be ready to roll. Am I the only one that feels real confident in Bama tonight? Like, I really do. I feel very confident in them tonight. For whatever reason, I think the whole world's down on Bama. And the last time the whole world's down on Bama, everyone felt bad about them, except for those in the locker room, and they responded very, very well. Now that they're healthier than they've been, they have an extra week to prepare for an exotic defense. They've seen it already, so they've weathered the storm before. I think they're going to be just fine tonight. I really do. I feel real good about it. Am I crazy here?
You're not crazy, but Greg, they just ran for the fewest yards in school history.
Agreed.
I mean, they've been under 300 yards their last 2 times out. So the concerns are for a reason. I mean, it's not for no reason. So, I mean, the concerns are legitimate.
No,
so
no, it's not. Yeah. It's not that they're not. Bama is not a flawless outfit by any stretch of the imagination. They are not. Far from it. There are warts on that team, no doubt about it. But they are also calloused, and I think there has been. I cannot say this enough. They were playing not to lose the last 4 games of the year. And that was in stark contrast to what we saw in the 4-game stretch against Power 4 competition that were all ranked. They were the aggressor in those games, and they weren't in the last 5 games for whatever reason. I don't know why, but they weren't. Probably because oh man, we had just got through this gauntlet. Like, oh gosh, now we can't screw it up. Boys, we're in great shape. And they became apprehensive. And I just don't anticipate that type of approach tonight. I just don't.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's one of the reasons I have the intrigue I do in this game. There's so many different ways it can go for so many different reasons. Can Alabama shore up that protection? Can they get a little bit of the run game going? Does Ryan Williams step up? Jam Miller being back, Cuevas being back, how much difference can they make? That defense, how do they play? Are they dropping 8? Are they moving a lot up front? Obviously, John Mateer, is he on point, on target? Jared Kanik, does he show up? Does he do different things? Can Deion Burks get going a little bit more than he has for most of this season? I mean, there's just so many things. Does Oklahoma stay as movement happy as they have been most of this season? I'm excited to see how it plays out because there's a lot of different ways it can go. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, though. I disagree with you on the over. I think there'll be a conservative nature in how they're called early, and that'll go a long way in deciding sort of how this game goes. And then I do think late you could get a couple offenses, either one, maybe both, that are pressing a little bit, trying to find some points later on. But all in all, I think we've got a good football game coming tonight. I'm pumped up about it. We'll be back to discuss more of it. Our picks coming up here in the last little bit of the show next on Jocks. I'll go back to the last time against Oklahoma, Greg, the fake inside zone to Caden Proctor reverse that was attempted. You look at the LSU game, you had a big fourth down conversion there. Will there be some trickery at a big point in this game from Ryan Grubb that makes or breaks Alabama and chances to win?
They've had 2 or 3 a game, I feel like.
Couple just in massive moments of games, though, that sort of got to have it moments. I mean, you seal the deal against LSU. You run that one against Oklahoma. Was there one against Georgia? I'm trying to recall. Can't remember.
Yeah, they threw the hitch out to, or the now screen to Crispy.
Proctor. Yeah, they seemingly have one of those every game, and they save it for a big moment. I haven't seen a play caller have as many completely unique plays for big moments than I have Ryan Grubb. I mean, it's fascinating to watch. So, don't know if one of those comes out in this one, but what does decide this game? Which way you lean and where you going with Alabama, Oklahoma?
You know, I think it comes down to the fact that Oklahoma's offense is not great. And I feel like with all the attention being paid towards Alabama's challenges and the struggles they've had, Oklahoma has comparable challenges, except there has never been a point this year in which you've watched Oklahoma's offense and said, wow, that's a legit unit. There were times this year when you saw that with Alabama and you said, man, alive, this team's playing great on that side of the ball. So I don't know, like, can Oklahoma find something? Like, are you confident that Oklahoma can get something going offensively? Or are they going to be completely reliant on taking advantage of takeaways? And if they do that, hey, Bama turns it over, it's all she wrote, right? They make mistakes, it's nightmare fuel. But I still think I'm just not confident in Oklahoma's offense. Like, there's been something missing there. They don't have a lot of rhythm. They don't have a great identity. Like, what's Oklahoma's offense? That's my challenge there. So how do they attack? I know what Bama is. I know how they attack you. I know what they're going to try to do. I don't know what Oklahoma's offensive identity is. Like, they kind of want to run it, but they kind of want to be big play reliant. They kind of want to put it in their quarterback's hands, but they don't really trust him. Like, I feel like Oklahoma's identity offensively is kind of difficult to figure out.
No, I would agree with that. And it's why I've talked about the foundation, really, of both of these offenses is a little difficult to pinpoint at times. You don't know exactly what it is, what it looks like, what it's going to be. So who has the basis of an offense that they can lean on more in tough times? I'll probably lean Alabama just a little bit more there. However, you think about what this game is emotionally, mentally, what it's going to be, a college football playoff game. You take a team that brings a group of killers, a group of predators on defense, and you put them at home, and you put them in that environment at night against an offense that struggled to pick things up in pass protection, that hasn't had a lot of consistency. You would think emotionally, mentally, probably not exactly where you want them. I think that's a massive lean for Oklahoma for me. And I agree with everything you're saying on the Oklahoma offense. I don't think that they consistently get a lot going, but if it's Satanga, if it's Burks, if it's Mateer running the ball, I think they only need 1, 2, 3 explosive plays for this to be the difference. I mean, I hate to be Brian Kelly here, but it only takes one. Like, that might be all they need. That might be all Alabama needs in this game. Is one Ryan Williams screen that goes for, 60, and that's the difference. But being at home, that defense going full attack mode, I think they can cause some disruption, cause some problems again. I'm going Oklahoma tonight. I think they get the win.
Barner.
It's just where I see the game going. So
I think it's perfectly fair. I don't think anyone can sit there and say with great conviction it's going to go a certain way.
Yeah, I don't feel great about either side of it, honestly.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't feel great about it either way. I think it's all about who do you trust more. That's really what it comes down to me. And I just trust Alabama more. Alabama has fewer turnovers than Oklahoma this year. Alabama has more turnovers forced than Oklahoma this year. Yes, the one thing that I think is concerning is that it's now been 2 games. So you can point to the Oklahoma game in November and say, okay, that was an anomaly. They turned the ball over 3 times. That's not going to happen again. Well, the last time they played Oklahoma, albeit different year, different season, different team, different quarterback, different identity, they turned it over 3 times in that game too. So maybe Venables kind of has the keys to what it is that Kalen DeBoer's offense does, or how they try to attack you, or maybe they're the beat on their signals, or whatever it is. Maybe there's something there. So I think if it comes down to the team I trust more, it's still Alabama. I think one thing that's lost in this is that Alabama's defense has been playing fantastic football for a while now. I think they'll continue to play fantastic football. I thought they played great, by the way, against Georgia. I mean, if they had a couple Georgia had a couple third down touchdowns. I mean, I thought they played great against Georgia. With their back against the wall, 2 drives starting inside the 21-yard line. Like, that defense balled the last time out. And I don't feel like there's too much attention being paid to Alabama's offensive failures and not enough attention being paid to Alabama's defensive success, because that group has been the real deal down the stretch.
It's going to be fun to watch, man. I think the environment will not let down. I think both teams will show up. It'll come down to a couple mistakes. That'll be it.
For sure.
And Alabama made them last time, and Oklahoma might make them this time. We'll see. But I think it's got a chance to be an exciting game for different reasons, and probably not one that the new college football world order of fans is going to love, but one that I think we will all take a lot of joy in how it goes and what it is, because I think it'll be physical. I love the way Oklahoma attacks the football. The Alabama defense has improved vastly over the second half of the season. They have a couple of youngsters that have really started to help out, 9-11 on that defense. So we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be a fun one. I know that. I'm excited to be there, to take it in and kind of see how it goes. Andrew Sports Medicine, by the way, they'll be on hand as well, because they'll be taking care of Alabama. There's also a reason that Andrew Sports Medicine was hand-selected by Auburn, Dr. Benton Emblem and Charles Pitts, to serve as their team physicians. They provide the highest quality sports medicine care in an effort to keep the Tiger student-athletes safe, healthy, and competing at the highest level. If Andrew Sports Medicine is a choice for Auburn athletics, there's no doubt they should be your family's #1 choice for sports medicine and orthopedic care. Andrew Sports Medicine, 7 locations across central Alabama, from Birmingham, Coleman, Gardendale, Hoover, Pelham, Trussville. They offer same-day, next-day appointments for acute sports injuries. Visit AndrewSportsMedicine.com today to begin your journey of achieving victory over injury. We pick the rest of the playoffs next, right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Friday, December 19th. It is 9:52. Before we move on, Greg, tell our listeners about Canty.
Well, Canty can fix it. Cantey, canfixit.com. There's a lot of things in the Birmingham area that can lead to problems with your foundation. That's why Canty is here to make it right and to get it fixed. You have a lot of sloping, you have weather, you have challenges here in Alabama that can, the soil, water, age of your home, all these things. So if you're noticing cracks in the walls, floors, around the doors and windows, if you're noticing moisture or musty smells or wood rot in the crawl space, if there's standing water around the foundation or in the basement, that might be an indication that Canty needs to come out for a free inspection and an estimate so homeowners can find out exactly what's going on under their house. Their work is backed by lifetime transferable warranty, so call them today at 205-509-3991 or go online at canfixit.com.
All right, so a couple other games coming up this weekend. Massive college football playoff matchups that are going to take place. JMU, Oregon. Does JMU keep it within the number, Greg? 20 and a half.
I think they do. I'm going to take the points there.
I'm with you. I think it's too many. And I think JMU has a couple of things they can offer that can be a headache for what Oregon's going to want to do. Tulane, Ole Miss, 17 and a half, still a pretty big number. Does Tulane keep that one within the spread?
I'm going to lay them there. I think
you're taking Ole Miss.
I like Ole Miss. I'm just not confident. I'm just not confident at all in Tulane being able to keep it tight.
Yeah, it's tough because with what Keelan Lacey has become and that offensive line having a better understanding of, hey, man, just get a hat on a hat. We don't have to move people 5 yards off the ball. We have a back that's going to be able to make it go with a mobile quarterback. I think Ole Miss probably scores late to barely get this cover. I don't think it's going to be like a 21-point game at the half or anything. If I had to do it, I'd stay away from it. But if I had to, I'd probably take the over, and I would take Ole Miss with a late cover against Tulane. But I do think Retzlaff's more capable through the air. That helps. Secondary, not all brand new. That helps. So some other things that I think could help Tulane in this matchup. The one you're going to be on, 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, ABC, ESPN, Miami, Texas A&M. You can't pick it. I will. I'm taking Miami. And I just think that there are less things that they do that are mistake-prone. You talked about the A&M defensive line. I was asked earlier about the rushing yards. When we had Roddy Jones on, he asked me, what's going on with the A&M defense and the rush yards? I'm like, if you watch it and pay attention to it, it's somebody missing an assignment or being out of their gap almost every time they get hit. But as you stated, the Miami D-line a little bit more sound. There are some irresponsible tendencies of that A&M front seven, mainly the defensive line. Miami can take advantage of that. I also think in pass protection, you have a quarterback whose eyes come down quickly against a good pass rush. That's a recipe for disaster because he's either going to try to rush a throw, he's not going to set his feet when he throws, or he's going to try to dance in the pocket to escape, and it's not going to work. So I'll take Texas. I'll take Texas A&M to go down to Miami at home.
I can see it. There's a lot of pathways to victory there for the Miami Hurricanes. They're a really good football team.
TD's Fine Furniture Super Sofa Game of the Week. I would take your game, Miami A&M. Greg, which direction would you go?
I'll go Bama, Oklahoma, since you're taking mine. I think it's going to be an awesome matchup. Two great defenses, throwback type of game with bring a couple chin straps, boys. Let's button it up and get it going.
Oh, for me, it's easy. You take Alabama, Oklahoma. That's the game of the weekend, and it's time for TD's year-end clearance sale. Thousands of items for the entire home marked down. They want to clear it out before the end of the year. Plus, you'll pay no interest till 2027. The year-end clearance sale going on now at TD's Fine Furniture in Summerton.
Appreciate Roddy Jones, Katie Harper, Teddy Lehman, Stanford Steve joining the show today. Catch the podcast at JocksFM.com. Go back and watch it on YouTube. We'll be back Monday to recap all of it right here on Jocks. 3-Man Front is next.